ST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, and more. This is The Hodder Show.
What is up, everybody? We are on audio here today in episode 385 of The Hodder Show. I hope you guys doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I know it's been a little while, and I am sorry for that. Things have been busy here at the Hodder Show camp. And I have also been very, very hard at work at the project that's coming out next year that I will actually talk about probably next week as you guys are hearing this. I'm thinking next week. It's either going to be next week or the week after for sure. You guys are going to hear a little bit about it on my end of the year review with my buddy Josh from Still Loading Podcast. So stay tuned for that. That'll either be out next week or the week after. Not 100% certain, but either way, I wanted to make sure that I got you guys some content coming here as we round up on the end of the year. And I figured what better thing to do than to reach out to the Hodder Show fan base and do a little edition of Ask Hodder Anything. These are always fun, and they're actually always a hit. For one reason or another, you guys love to interact, I guess, which is cool because I like interacting with you guys. These are always a lot of fun. When I have to do something by myself, I'd much rather do this kind of format where I get to have that interaction with you guys. So we're gonna have a lot of fun, and of course, it's going to be a Christmas / end of the year, New Year's Eve, whatever you want to call it here today, and we're gonna have a lot of fun because I got some fantastic questions from my Discord community, the homies, and also my Patreon supporters. But before we jump in, I want to thank everybody for their support on the last episode of The Hodder Show, my chat with Adam Baldwin from Flesh Guzzler. That was a really fun chat. It was cool getting to do the video thing again. I hadn't done that in a while. I don't think you'll see video regularly again here on The Hodder Show. Just not my path personally. But if you guys would like to see more video, let me know. If it's something that you guys are really jonesing for, maybe I can make that happen. One thing that was cool that I didn't realize was the video format actually plays on Spotify. So something I didn't realize I could do. I thought that was only like Joe Rogan. But apparently the dregs of podcast society, like your boy here, can also upload their videos on the Spotify. So that was wonderful to discover randomly the other day when I was cruising through, trying to remember what episode I was on for my podcast. And I was like, oh, there's video of this. That's cool. So big shouts again to Adam for being a wonderful guy. He's got something cooking over on his channel, his social media channel. So go check out Flesh Guzzler. They got something dropping in the next few days here, some Christmas content. So stay tuned for that. But with that, we're ready to roll into today's episode, a Christmas edition of Ask Hodder Anything, featuring questions from you guys. Let's get into it. Hey, chickeny ching, ee-aw, ee-aw, it's Dominic the donkey, chickeny ching, ee-aw, ee-aw, the Italian Christmas donkey, la 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 la. I was debating on how I was going to start this off, and I said, you know what, let's just sing a little song, just get people in the mood here as we dive into some Christmas related content here on the Hodder Show. And I'm just diving in head first here because we got some bangers. Starting off with a series of wonderful questions from my buddy, Adam, 2027's Man of the Year. We're coming up on 2027 pretty quick, brother. So, better get on that. I think you said back in the day that you were going to be Man of the Year because you were going to find a way to cure male pattern baldness or something of that nature, or just grow your hair back or something of that nature. That was like 2017, I think. So that was a very long time ago. So I cannot recall anymore. But what I can recall is these questions here from you. First off, do you think Santa calling everyone a hoe is outdated? And this is the kind of content that I always want to start my podcast off with when I do an Ask Hodder Anything. Is it outdated? I mean, a little. Maybe he could say something else. What's a proper term for a hoe? A promiscuous lady, I guess. But I guess that doesn't have the same ring to it. Ho, ho, ho. Promiscuous, promiscuous, promiscuous. Ho. Yeah, it doesn't really work, but I still think he should change it. Because, you know, everyone says, ho, ho, ho. Why not ho, ho, ho? Good stuff. Do you think Santa was the first spy agency? I do, because, you know, as everyone knows, he sees you when you're sleeping and he knows when you're awake. So I'm assuming that my man is watching us at all hours of the day and night, and he probably has a whole agency of elves that's all they do all the time. I mean, you got to think, because you can't be watching every single person all the time, even if you are magic. But if you had, like, you know, thousands of elves just on human watch detail 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they just made like little reports every day or something like that. Like, oh, hey, yeah, this TJ Hodder guy, yeah, he's an asshole, so don't give him anything. You know, things of that nature. I think that makes sense. I think it's not far-fetched to believe that Santa was the first spy. I think that makes sense. And also, he probably has to do some pretty crazy shit to get into people's houses. Let's be serious. I could see him like rappelling down the chimney on a rope. Because back in the day, he just like slid down chimneys. Now he can't do that. Now he's just fully breaking and entering into people's houses, right? Like, he has to. So I think that makes sense. I think you can say that Santa was definitely the first spy, and that his whole North Pole situation was definitely the first spy agency. Who was your favorite Santa in a movie? Okay, so I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you my classic answer because there's tons that I could think of. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm like a massive Christmas movie watcher, because honestly, I'm really not. We've probably watched more Christmas movies this year so far than I think I probably have any year. Not for one reason or another, just we just seem to have watched quite a bit. But the one movie that we always love to watch, and I wasn't really a fan of it until the last few years. I mean, I liked it when I was a kid, but that was Elf. And that's blasphemy to a lot of people, because that's a lot of people's favorite Christmas movie. But I absolutely loved Edward Ashner as Santa. I thought he was fantastic. I thought that he brought not only a very likable and soft voice and way to the character, but then also he's a bit rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't take no shit. Like in the park when Buddy sneaks up behind him or whatever, and he just pulls out a tie iron and he's like, all right, Slick, let me. It's like, I believe that. I was like, to me, I'm like, I feel like that's how Santa would be. You know what I'm saying? And like, he doesn't really take any shit. He's kind of a hard nose. Like, I guess, you know, Santa's been around, man. He knows what's up. So I loved Edward Ashner as Santa. I thought he was brilliant, fantastic, everything I want in my Santa. However, we watched a movie just the other day called Fred Claus. Now, the movie was meh. I'm not really a huge Vince Vaughn fan, but I loved, for whatever reason, Paul Giamatti's version of Santa. I thought it was great. I thought it was very, like, that character of Santa in Fred Claus is very, like, almost like he's not really self-aware in some situations, but also he's a businessman. So it's kind of an interesting take on it. But then right near the end, some stuff happens. I'm not going to give away the whole, unless it's Christmas, maybe you want to go watch the movie. It's not a bad movie. I think that Paul Giamatti as Santa really saved the movie near the end. I really do. I really enjoyed the ending. he learns a really important lesson. And it's like that realization that like he's been doing things wrong in regards to the naughty list all these years. I'm not going to give anything else away. Just his portrayal of that scene and that whole realization was absolutely brilliant. And it really gave Santa a really human-esque quality. He's not perfect. He's not this, yes, he's a, all-powerful being, so to speak, an immortal being, but also he's got some flaws. And I like characters with some flaws, okay? I've talked about this a million times on the podcast. Give me some characters with some fucking flaws. I can't stand, it's my same thing with superheroes, right? I'm Superman. It's like, no, fuck you. Give me some characters with some weaknesses and some flaws. And I thought that Paul Giamatti as Santa had all that. It was really, really well done. And I was surprised because I'd only seen Paul Giamatti in like strictly comedic, silly roles. See Liar Liar, or not Liar Liar, excuse me, Big Fat Liar. But Liar Liar was also fantastic. So, yeah, Paul Giamatti as Santa, and then my number one. We'll call Paul Giamatti. Holy shit! Say that 10 times fast. My honorary mention, and then Edward Ashner as my number one for Santa for sure. Last question here from Adam. If your wife says you are naughty, do you feel like you won't get a present? Actually, yeah, 100%. Just be like, you're being naughty, you're not getting a present. I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna get a present. I said the same thing to Luna the other day, but she's getting a present, don't worry. Another question here from Adam. Santa gets milk and cookies. Would you want that or something else? I would want beer and gummies. What a stupid thing. What a dumb combination. Yeah, beer and gummies, or Diet Coke and gummies, or yeah, Diet Coke and gummies. Definitely not milk. I mean, I don't mind. I like cookies, but definitely not milk. For sure not milk. Let's say Diet Coke and gummies. Let's say that there. If you had to replace giving people coal, what would you give them? Just literal steaming piles of dog shit. I'd just be like, you are not a good person. I would up my criteria for what is naughty. I'd just be like, okay, this person's an absolute fucking asshole. I'd be like, here is a little literal steaming pile of dog shit. Here you go. Merry Christmas. Enjoy. And I'd put it in their stocking, so when they reach in, they would put their hand in the shit. That's what I would do. Thank you very much for the questions, Adam. I always appreciate it, buddy. We have a series of questions here from Doozer Pindon, one of my Discord regulars. In your opinion, what is the best kind of gift to give and what is the worst? So I'll start off with the worst. To me, the worst kind of gift you can give is something that's like you think the person will like, but you don't really know for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather, sometimes you might make a wrong decision on something. And that's why I love wish lists and stuff like that. Because me personally, I hate giving a gift to someone, not knowing with 100% certainty they're going to love it. Because sometimes you get gifts that people might think you'll like. And it's like, oh, this is great. Thank you. And then you feel like an asshole when you get that gift, because you're like, oh, like, I'm never going to use this. Or like, it's kind of hard to explain. It's like if you, I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. It's like someone getting you alcohol and you don't drink. Because like, oh, everyone likes, alcoholic. It's like, oh, thank you so much. Like, and then it's just going to sit there, or you'll re-gift it. So I would rather like, hey, here's a, as much as it's a cop out nowadays, I'm glad a lot of people don't look down on gift cards as much anymore. Or like just giving like snacks and stuff as gifts and like treats and stuff as gift, which I guess it's kind of the same thing as giving alcohol, but I think everyone generally likes treats. but not everyone likes alcohol. Like, for example, I'll use my buddy Adam, who just asked some questions as an example. If I was to randomly get Adam a gift, I wouldn't buy him alcohol because he doesn't drink that much. But I might be like, hey, here's some snacks, some treats. I don't know. Like, I'd rather do that than get him some alcohol, if that makes any sense. So I think that's the worst kind of gift you can give, is something that you like, that you give to someone else. Like, oh, I like this, so they'll definitely like this. That's silly. Or for a kid, giving a like strictly educational thing. Come on, man, do better. Do better. Come on. No kid wants to get a globe. Come on. Like a series of encyclopedias or some shit. Like, no kid wants that for Christmas. Come on, man. Just do better. Just do better. And then also the second part of that question, what is the best kind of gift to give? Obviously something that you know the person is going to love. But as I get older, for me, it's stuff that, practical stuff is always cool. Things that you know for sure the person is going to use. As stupid as it sounds, like getting them socks. Like, seriously. Or getting them stuff that you know they won't buy for themselves. I'm looking around at my desk. Hell, I'm looking at the stuff I'm using to record this podcast right now. The only item here that I purchased myself that was not a gift, my laptop was a gift, because my wife knew I would never spend the money on myself to buy this laptop. So she went in on it with her family, which was incredible. I had tears in my eyes. It was amazing. My interface was a gift. I bought this microphone. This pop filter was a gift. These cables were technically a gift as well. The headphones I'm using were also a gift. So, well, actually, I think this was a gift card. Anyway, beside the point. Actually, if I include gift cards, everything here was a gift. If I include gift cards. My point being that people like myself who, like, I don't like to spend money on things for myself for whatever friggin' reason. I've always been that way. So in order for me to get things that I really would love to have, for example, these awesome new headphones or a new laptop or this microphone, it needs to be gifts. And that's the best kind of gift that you can give someone. But then also, flip side of that, yeah, I'm sure that your mom or dad or your aunt or uncle or your grandparents or whoever you're close with in your family would love a gift from you that they would enjoy. But you know what they'd probably love more than that? To spend time with you. Just throwing it out there. Or your significant other, whatever. Your friends, anything. Anyone, any loved one, you can wrap up in that. I'm sure they'd love a gift from you, something that they're going to enjoy, but they probably also really love to just see you. So, take that into consideration as well. If you have one, what is your dream Christmas holiday destination? I would love to go back to the East Coast for Christmas. We did it a few times when I was a kid. I would love to go with Sam and go back there. That would be just awesome. Or this would be a little trickier because of the weather, but going to Newfoundland in the wintertime for Christmas, just to have a Christmas her and I, would be awesome. Would love to do that. I don't have any desire to go to any place warm or anything at Christmas time. As much as I hate, as a Canadian, it's funny, as much as I do kind of sort of hate the snow, just because of what I do for a living, because cleaning up after snow and salt is a fucking pain in the ass. I do love snow. I don't like a lot of snow. Like right now outside, we have like, I'm going to say about 3 inches of nice, light, powdery snow. That's the kind of snow I like. It's manageable. It's not super slick. The roads are clear. There's not ice underneath the snow. That's the kind of snow I like. So I don't want to go anywhere warm because I would miss seeing snow. Last question here from Doozer Pindon. What is your favorite Christmas song and or movie, and which are you sick of? Well, as far as Christmas song, it's Dominic the Donkey. I can't remember who does the song. Who does Dominic the Donkey? Dominic the Donkey by Lou Monte. The Italian Christmas Donkey. It is an absolute fucking banger. And it's always like my first song that I play at Christmas time. We had our first of 2 Christmas events this past weekend, and to get in the mood, Sam, of course, was like, first thing. So I was like, I'm going to play some Christmas music. She says, oh, you better play Dominic the Donkey first. So that is indeed what happened. But I will say, Mark Tremonti of Creed, Alter Bridge, and Tremonti fame released a Christmas record this year, which I did not see coming. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's really nice, classy holiday music, but it's Mark Tremonti, so it's really cool hearing him sing that because he has a great voice and I love his voice. Very Frank Sinatra-esque. So, yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, some more classical, modern Christmas music, check it out. It's really well done. Christmas songs I never want to hear again. Let me think. What's a Christmas song I never want to hear again? I mean, I want a hippopotamus for Christmas, I guess. I mean, there's not really any. What's that one really fucking depressing song? I think it's like Christmas Shoes or something. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. Don't get me wrong. But like, good Lord. It's just, it is just, it's depression. It's just depressing. Again, I get it. You know, it's a really beautiful, beautiful song. But like, bruh, I don't need that shit in my life. That being said, I'll also, in the same, maybe that's a bit of a cop out. It's a really, really beautiful, beautiful song. It's just super sad and depressing. I don't want to be sad and depressing at Christmas. I say that, but then, what is that song? I wish I had a river. Joni Mitchell's song, River, is also a beautiful song. It's actually one of my favorite Christmas songs, if you can believe that. Kind of sort of Christmas song. Is it not? I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. Some people say it's not, even though it does mention Christmas. It's also a really sad song. So, you know, take what I just said with a grain of salt. I'm just trying to make sure I answer some questions here. As far as my favorite Christmas movie, probably Elf or The Grinch That Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey. But I also love the original cartoon version of The Grinch. If you can consider that a movie, it might more be like a TV thing, TV made for movie, whatever the hell. We'll say it's one of those 3. And as far as a movie I'm sick of, probably Bad Santa. I know it kind of maybe doesn't count. Any of the really classic ones, I'm just meh on, except for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that like claymation version, because the voice acting in it just is awesome and it fascinates me. Thanks very much for those questions, dude. I appreciate it. I have a group of questions here from CM Peters of Baseline Feed. What is your favorite holiday tradition? Well, when I was a kid, we had a couple of pretty basic traditions. The night before, we would always get to open one present, and we get to hang out as a family for a little while. So I always really loved doing that. And it was usually a present that was like, you know, strategically, my mom would be like, here, open this one. And it'd be like a book or a game or something of that nature that I could use that night and have fun with. Christmas morning would always be the same. I would be up way too early, but my mom was a champ, so she would always get up and she would make us cinnamon buns, and I would get to open I would get to do my stockings while I waited, or my stocking, I should say, while I waited, because I wasn't allowed to open my main presents without Dad, and of course Dad, who was, you know, working his ass off all the time. Want to sleep until at least 7 a.m. So I'd be up at like 5 a.m. So yeah, that was like my favorite tradition. And then we just hang out as a family pretty much all day until we were all like, okay, we're all Christmased out. Let's go to our respective corners of the house for a little while until dinner. So it was always great and fun getting to do that. We also used to always get KFC on Christmas Eve, which was one of my favorite traditions that I don't do that anymore. Me and Sam need some Christmas traditions. We've always worked on Christmas, so like we don't really have any like traditions, so to speak. But maybe we'll have to start one this year. That would be a lot of fun. Other than that, just seeing family, really. That's really all I got otherwise for favorite holiday traditions. Do you get presents for your pets? Of course I do. They get stockings, okay? They get stockings. And they get things in their stockings. Sometimes I wouldn't be shocked if we spend more money on the pets than we do each other. So yeah. And my last question here from CM. Favorite holiday meal? Okay. You guys hear that crack here? Let's buckle in. Okay, so I do love the traditional, Christmas dinner. I think I prefer ham more than turkey. I don't know. I go back and forth every year, but this year we had ham and it was delicious. So for me, we actually did things potluck this year, which I really liked because it doesn't put the pressure on one person. So I don't like having too many people at once over. I like just a nice, give me like 10 family members, and that's like a good number for me. And then give me ham, stuffing, cheesy mashed potatoes, or if not cheesy mashed potatoes, then cheesy scalloped potatoes are also acceptable. We had those this year and they were fantastic. Give me some kind of veggie, green beans or corn or something of that nature, or salad, I guess, even though that seems kind of weird. Otherwise, for food itself, as long as I have those, I'm cool. If there's turkey and ham, I mean, that's cool as shit too. For turkey, obviously you need some good gravy. Otherwise, I mean, rolls, obviously. Give me some nice soft white rolls. I don't fuck with that multigrain roll shit. Get that out of here. I'll eat it, but it's got to be white roll. Come on. That's just the way to be when you're eating turkey or ham or whatever. I do like multigrain rolls on occasion, but I'm more of a white roll guy. And it's got to be that's a soft bread. None of that hard shit. Get that out of here. That trash belongs in the trash. That's what it should be. I don't like that at all. And then follow that up with some dessert. Warm apple pie with some ice cream is always fantastic. I am partial to pumpkin pie now with some whipped cream. I never used to be. That's kind of a new thing over the last few years I've gotten into. But yeah, apple pie, Christmas time, come on. I guess I'll throw in breakfast as well. My mom always used to make us breakfast too, with the cinnamon rolls. She wouldn't just feed us cinnamon rolls and be like, all right, fuck off. I forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah. And then she'd make bacon, eggs, or whatever we wanted, pancakes, and like that. So, but for Christmas morning breakfast, cinnamon rolls, bacon, eggs, some toast, I'm good to go. Trying to think. I never usually eat lunch on Christmas. I don't even think of lunch because I know that the dinner's coming. But then also here's the trick right here. My favorite post-holiday meal is to make turkey burgers with what's left over. So you get your stuffing, your gravy, your turkey, your mashed potatoes, and just kind of form it into a patty. And you heat that up on the pan. Make it just a little crispy on the tops. Whoo-wee! That's some good stuff. Put that in between a toasted bun or some bread or something. Pour more gravy on it if you're into it. Ugh. Mwah. So for that reason, I'm realizing as I'm saying it, I do prefer turkey. but I love ham. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But who doesn't like having the leftovers of their holiday dinner, even if it's that night, And then for drinks, let me conclude the meal with a drink. I am not an eggnog guy at all. I hate eggnog. I won't even entertain the idea of drinking eggnog. So, I mean, some for non-alcoholics, some nice warm apple cider is awesome. For alcoholic, if it's wet, I'll drink it. Is my philosophy. No, I like my regular beers that I have all the time, but I will drink like a winter ale or something like that, or a spiced rum drink or things of that nature. If it's Christmassy, I guess. I don't really know. I feel like spiced rum with like... I had a peppermint beer once that was surprisingly quite good. I was kind of shocked by that, but it was actually really good. So, I'll try some Festivus beers if the mood does strike me. So thank you very much for those questions, CM. Go check out Baseline Feed, folks. Fantastic podcast. And moving along, I've got a question here from Justin, one of my regulars over on the Discord. What's the coolest gift you've ever gotten? I mean, there's several that pop into mind. Damn. I mean, getting this laptop was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll give you 4 that come to mind immediately. The laptop was one. My PS4 was another. When I was a teenager, it was my parents buying me an electric guitar, my Hagstrom Ultra Swede, which I kind of sort of regret not having anymore, but I was a dumb kid. That's another story for another time. And then the other one that comes to mind was when I got my Nintendo 64, which was the first game system I ever got. And it was totally a surprise. My parents actually, funny quick story, the first thing that I opened was actually Super Smash Brothers, just the game cartridge in the box, but nothing else, just the game. And I was just absolutely hyped because I was like, oh man, like this is so awesome, because I played the game and I loved it and I wouldn't shut up about it, and that's all I was talking about. And I was like just hyped for that. Like, and like my parents were kind of like, okay, like I was like, oh man, all I need is an N64 now. Then my dad was like, oh, I think the dog was messing around behind the couch. So then I looked behind the couch and there was the N64. Also, I forgot to mention this with the guitar. I opened up and it was just the case. And I was like, oh my God, what a nice case. This is awesome. Again, I was grateful. I'm grateful to get anything, really. And I wasn't like bullshitting. I was like, this was a really nice hard case. So I thought I could put one of my other guitars in it. Because I did have a couple at the time. And then my dad like leaves the room and he comes walking back out. Oh, see if this fits in it. And it was the Hagstrom Ultra Swede. Which again, I do regret getting rid of that a lot. But that is another story for another time. So hopefully that gives you some answers there, Justin. Thanks very much for the question. We have a question here from my friend, my dear Dr. Torment, over on YouTube. What are your resolutions for 2024? I don't have any. I'm perfect. Moving on. No, I'm kidding. I'm not really a big resolutions guy. As far as some goals I have for 2024, I really want to try and get my work life a little more stable. That would be cool. Maybe try and figure out something for more of a regular schedule. That would be awesome. But it's kind of sort of out of my hands right now, so I don't know if I can really make that resolution, but that's a goal. I definitely want to get my health a little more in check. I want to get back into the Hodder Show full swing and really start knocking towards that goal of 500 episodes. That is my end game goal for the Hodder Show right now. Obviously, I'm not even at 400 yet, so I got a long way to go. But yeah, that's a goal. I want to go somewhere warm with Sam, travel abroad somewhere. And I don't know, man. I just want to keep trying to be a better person in general. You know, reach out to my friends and family more. Just try to overall be the best person that I can be. If that maybe that's a bit of a cop-out answer, but that's what comes to mind when you ask, buddy. So thank you very much for the question, Dr. Torment. I appreciate it. Go check out Dr. Torment on YouTube. He's doing some Edgar Allan Poe stuff right now, and it is freaking fantastic and makes me want to quit doing any kind of horror narration altogether. So thanks for that, buddy. We have a couple of questions here from patron Kelly. Where do you see yourself in 2024? Life, love, and career. Well, as far as love, that's pretty easy. Exactly where I am now with my beautiful wife. Hopefully still just continuously falling madly in love with each other. I know I will be still continuously falling madly in love with her, and hopefully she feels the same. Which, I mean, depending on the day, I don't know if that will be the case with me, but no. I'm a delight. As far as life, I mentioned this earlier just in the whole resolutions thing. I just feel right now the only thing I really want in my life is a little bit more stability. I know that in the world right now, there's not a lot of stability. That's something that kind of is what it is. But in my life personally, just with my work life career right now, I just really want some stability. That is what I am craving. I know once I get that, I will feel so much better and I will have so much less anxiety about just life in general. I love my job at the university, but it's not full time. And that's something that, does relate to career as well, which you asked. I'm really hoping that I can pull something out of my ass there. It is completely out of my hands. There's not really anything I can do, but I would love to have some kind of a 5-day a week, full-time, guaranteed hours type situation as soon as possible. That'd be cool. So I don't have to constantly change things and cancel interviews and things of that nature to, or just, not spend time with my wife, things of that nature, so that I can work, or so that I can Instacart to make enough money to pay the bills and things of that nature. So that's what I'm really hoping for in life and career. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. 2024 is going to be a very interesting year. I guess in relates to podcast stuff, launching my project that probably about 90% of you listening to this already know about in full detail. But if you're over on my Discord, you're already well aware of it. Excuse me. But I will talk a little bit more about it next week or the week after with my buddy Josh for the year in review. But that's going to be interesting. That could lead to some cool stuff. I don't know what. We'll see. So, yeah, hopefully that gives you an answer there, Kelly. Sorry if those are kind of cop-outs, but that's really all I got right now for you. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh no, Santa Hod has been slapped with a cease and desist. You can't use the name Santa in any likeness. Do you go Violent Night on the elves in retaliation? So to fill in the blanks, Santa Hod, trademark, is of course my version of Santa. Instead of giving gifts, I just leave podcast download codes. And if you don't want to download the podcast, that's too damn bad because I have access to your devices anyway while I'm in your house and I will download them anyway. And if you download all episodes of The Hodder Show without me doing it for you, I'll give you a present. you don't want to know what the present is. It's just literally like a personalized shout out on an episode of the Hodder Show. But so Kelly, of course, is asking, what would I do in that situation? Do I go Violent Night? Which, by the way, Violent Night, fantastic. I totally forgot to mention that for Christmas movies. I loved Violent Night. Oh my gosh, what is his name? The guy, I loved him as Santa. I totally forgot about him. Violent Night. What the hell is his name? I love him. He's a brilliant actor. David Harbour. Oh my gosh, that was so frustrating. David Harbour is absolutely brilliant. He's a phenomenal actor, and he was a great Santa Claus. That version of Santa, again, you know how I said earlier, my Santa having some flaws and being a bit rough around the edges. Yeah, that's my Santa right there. It's a little different. It's not a traditional Christmas movie, obviously, but I love that movie. I'm going to totally watch it later now. And I love David Harbour as Santa. So there's a twofer for you, answering kind of one of the questions Adam asked earlier. But would I take it out on my elves if Santa Hod was slapped with a cease and desist? Probably. Santa Hod takes no prisoners. Santa Hod is a ruthless businessman who's trying to grow his podcast empire. And I would blame the elves for sure. So I don't know if I'd go Violent Night on them, but I might at least rough them up a little bit. Let them know, hey, this kind of shit can't happen. So, yeah. A completely non-related Christmas question from Kelly here, but I wanted to answer it because she did ask. What's your stance on the direction of WWE? I'm all for it because wrestling is in a really good place right now as far as with lots of places for people to work. WWE seems to be kind of figuring things out. They are, giving chances to people who deserve it. They are seemingly listening to their fan base a ton. They're giving us stuff we didn't know we wanted, like R-Truth joining the Judgment Day, which is ridiculous and hilarious, and I love every second of it. I love my man Gunther as the dominant champion. I love Rollins with the title. I do like the whole Roman Reigns thing. I think it's cool. Love LA Knight. We'll see what happens there. CM Punk coming back was a complete shock to me. I didn't personally see that coming at all, but we'll see what happens there. I don't know. Overall, I'm for it. I think it's cool. I think everything they're doing is interesting and fun, and it's not. It's still too early in the quote unquote Triple H era to pass judgment on things. But I'm also the type of wrestling fan that I like to let things play out. I don't just go like this whole Roman Reigns thing. There's this whole situation he's in right now. When someone beats him, they're going to automatically be made in the annals of history. So regardless of who that is, regardless of the situation, it's going to be well worth the wait when Roman finally does lose. I don't see Roman continuing after he loses. I think that would be crazy. So he might hold the title for another few years. I don't know what's going to happen. This is the closest they're probably ever going to get to someone beating the all-time record, which he still has. Actually, let's check. Longest reigning WWE champion. Let's see here. So yeah, Bruno Sammartino with 2,803 days. And right now, so Roman Reigns is at around 1,100 days right now. So he would need to hold I don't even want to think about. I was going to do math, but I don't even want to think about it. How much longer he'd have to hold the title to beat Bruno Sammartino. That's wild. But in order for him to beat, say, Hulk Hogan, that's not that far-fetched. He'd really just have to hold it for another year and a bit, and then he'd beat Hogan, which would be cool. But I don't know. Is WrestleMania 40 the best place for Roman to drop the title and still be the longest reigning champion of the modern era by a shitload? After him, I'm trying to think who held it longer. Brock Lesnar apparently 504 days. So, that's a pretty big feather in the cap, so to speak. And I don't think you can count out the fact that, Roman might hold it for another year. I don't know. Who knows? This has accidentally turned into a wrestling podcast, and I apologize, folks. I don't talk wrestling a lot on the podcast, but when a question comes up in an Ask Hodder Anything, I will answer it. And I wanted to talk about that briefly. So, Kelly, hopefully that answers your questions. Thank you so very much for the questions and also for being a patron. I very much appreciate it. We now move on to Bray, one of my regulars over on the Discord. Which holiday is your favorite? Halloween, which probably doesn't shock a lot of people. It used to be Christmas, interestingly enough, but I do love Christmas. Don't get me wrong. I love Christmas time for a lot of reasons. But Halloween has become my favorite. Sam and I love Halloween. We decorate Halloween stuff all year round. Our house decor is very, not over the top Halloween stuff like some people, but we definitely have some decorations up all year round that could be conveyed as Halloween-esque. But I do love Christmas, so hopefully that answers that question, Bray. Thanks very much for asking. Bray is also a very talented YouTuber who does some horror narration stuff under Narrative Noob. Go check Bray out. Speaking of very talented YouTube narrators, Decade Doe, a newcomer in the Hodder Show world here, who will be on the show soon enough, actually, has a question here. When do you usually put up Christmas decorations? We're pretty late compared to some people. We don't usually start putting up Christmas decorations until December. Some people do it like midway through November, and I'm just not for that at all. How we had some of our Christmas, we had some of our Halloween decorations up until like the end of November. So, yeah, probably like December 1st through 5th, 7th, that week, is usually when we get them all up. But sometimes we may not put them up at all, depending on what's going on. Last year, we have this little artificial tree. It's like a little tiny tree we put up on the shelf because we can't have a normal tree or a fake big tree because we have cats who are insane. So we have to do without that. But we do have this cute little artificial tree that we put up on the shelf, and that's kind of our Christmas tree. And we have lights we put up and stuff, and we're all about the lights here at the Hodder household. So we're all about that. So usually December, maybe the last couple days of November, or halfway through December. But by Christmas, we always have some stuff up. So hopefully that answers that question, DK Doe. Thank you so very much for asking. We have a question here from my buddy Mike. Favorite Christmas story you've narrated? So really there's only a couple But if I take into consideration the Tapes of Trepidation over on the Hodder Show Patreon, taking those in consideration, I did a story. The one I did last year, I really loved. It only comes on Christmas Eve, but it was really dark. That was more of a really dark story. So was the one I did the year before, which was I heard a strange sound early Christmas morning, or I woke to a strange sound early Christmas morning. Excuse me. I loved that story because it was an actual ghost story. Yes, it had a pretty gruesome end, and a gruesome backstory, by the way. If you didn't read the story, you should go check it out, because there's a backstory onto why the ghost is doing what he does, which is some not good things. But that was a lot of fun. I've grown a lot as a narrator since that story. I listened back to it the other night and I was like cringing at a lot of stuff. But I really loved that story because I have a lot of elements of my own life that I threw into that. And both of my Christmas stories I've done, I did that. I will not be doing an original one this year, but the ones I've done the last couple of years, I really pulled a lot from my history of Christmas and things I've experienced and things of that nature, aside from the paranormal things. But like what I do at Christmas, how I feel at Christmas, how I feel about Christmas, a lot of those elements were put into that first Christmas ghost story that I did. And I'm really proud of that story. I think it was a lot of is the kid dreaming? Is he not dreaming? Is this real? Is it make believe? What's going on? Come to find out, no, this is really happening to this kid and he's really experiencing it. Then the other question Mike has is, do you have a favorite traditional Christmas ghost story? There's a bunch. Two that come to mind are both by Charles Dickens. Obviously, A Christmas Carol. That's that's a fantastic one. The Signalman is also great. I'm trying to think of the Crown Derby plate is pretty good as well. There's hundreds more I just can't think of at the moment. But that's always something that I love about Christmas, is the telling of ghost stories and things of that nature. There's tons of them. There's actually a book of Victorian era Christmas ghost stories that is available. Let me pull that up for a sec here. The Valancourt Book of Victorian Christmas Ghost Stories. There's some cool stuff in there. There's a few different series of it. There's some really great stuff in there. That's something I might actually check out. They're not necessarily all Christmas based, but they're just ghost stories in general. I don't think the ghost story has to be Christmas related in order for it to be that tradition. I think it can be any ghost story, but obviously it's fun to tell creepy Christmas ghost stories as well, or just creepy stories at Christmas, whatever. I've had some pretty good stuff over on Tapes of Trepidation. There was one story actually that my homie Liliana Roman, the voice actress MVP of Tapes of Trepidation on the Hodder Show, she did a story called Merry Christmas, which was super freaky and brilliantly done by her. And I really liked that one as well. Obviously, Krampus is a great creepy story for Christmas, but it's kind of more of a fairy tale, whatever it is, tradition, I guess, than it is a ghost story, but love the Krampus stuff as well. Thank you very much for the question, Mike. Hope that I was able to answer them both for you. Sam Hudson with a very important question here. What's it like living with the burden of being so damn good looking? It's a curse, man. It's a curse. It's just, I don't know how I do it. You know, some days it's a lot. I carry a lot of weight on these shoulders, man. These rippling shoulders. No. No, that's not, it's not a thing. But I appreciate you saying so, you handsome devil, you. Okay, quick funny story time. So I went through a drive-through the other day, and the person handed me my coffee, and they were like kind of just like smiling at me while I was sitting there, and they were like waiting for someone to hand them the coffee or whatever. And I was kind of like, oh, you know that awkward moment when you're both just kind of looking at each other. And they were smiling at me like really. Now I realize it was a flirty smile, but like I was kind of taken aback because I was like, why is this man smiling at me? And then he hands me my coffee and he says, have a good day, handsome. And then he kind of like smiled at me and I didn't know how to react. So I kind of just smiled and looked at him and drove away in a super creepy fucking way. And then the only thing I could think about the rest of that day was Herbert and Family Guy singing, I know what boys like. I know what guys want. I know what boys like. Boys like. Just thought I'd tell that story there for you. Fun story here. And I'm flattered, by the way. I was very flattered. Didn't see that coming. Very flattered that anyone thinks I'm handsome. Yeah, so there you go. There's a fun little story for you there. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you, buddy. My man Eric phones, actor extraordinaire. What is your favorite holiday snack, song, activity? Already covered song, but as far as snack, I like to say that I don't like peppermint candies and stuff like that, but I do love a good candy cane once in a while. I do love, we used to get these like Christmas bell gummy candy things. They weren't jubes. They were like these like they were a gummy, but they had like sugar on them. They were fucking delicious. I wish I could find them. I always forget about jelly beans, like Christmas jelly beans, I guess. Are they a traditional Christmas thing? They are now. Fuck it. I love jelly beans. I'll sit and eat an entire bowl of fucking red and green jelly beans. Let's go. Or white too. Whatever. Black, purple, yellow. I don't give a shit. But I think traditionally for Christmas, it's just red, green, and white, I believe. Maybe black too. I like black licorice, so I like black jelly beans. Sue me. I do love, like, I think they call it Christmas crack. It's basically like a type of a mix with like pretzels and shreddies and things of that nature in it. Yeah. Those oh man, what are they called? They're like, oh man, I can't think of what it is. There's like powdered sugar on them. Whatever. Anyway, I can't think of what it is, but there's a lot of them that I enjoy. And as far as activity, just hanging with fam. That's what I like to do on the holidays. There's not really a traditional holiday that comes to mind, or traditional holiday activity that comes to mind specifically other than that. So, and then Christmas song, I already talked about it, but yeah, Dominic the Donkey, let's go. Hopefully that answers those questions, Eric. Thank you so very much for the support and also for being a patron, buddy. I appreciate you. And last but absolutely not least, we have my man Tim from Greensboro with a series of questions here. Some of which are about the differences between Canada and where he's from, because he doesn't know. So he always asks me these kind of things. So Tim would like to know, do you do milk and cookies for Santa in Canada? Absolutely, we do. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I guess depending on the type of cookie, we always did just regular chocolate chip cookies, and regular milk. I think eventually we switched to skim milk because I seem to remember there being this is a really random thing to remember. When I was a kid, I seem to remember there being a thing about like how Santa would prefer skim milk or something. Like I remember reading like an article about it, or there was like something on the news about like how everyone should switch to skim milk instead of 2% because Santa's like, I seem to remember there being like a Santa on the news talking about it or something. I don't know. I think it was just a silly thing, but I seem to remember being like this really serious thing. But I think it was a Santa just being like, "Oh, I drink so much milk in a night. I better switch to skim." Ho ho ho, you know. So we started doing the skim milk thing, and then chocolate chip cookies, because or Christmas cookies of any kind are acceptable. But to me, the chocolate chip cookie, that is the that's the key right there. I'm curious, Tim, do you guys leave like liver mush out or anything for Santa? Is that a thing? Some liver mush, whatever. And a nice Pabst Blue Ribbon. I love it. Anyway, what's a Canadian holiday feast like? So I already did touch on this a tiny bit, but traditionally we always go usually with turkey. Pretty standard. Mashed potatoes, Brussels sprouts, minced pie, cranberry, usually eggnog. I'm not into that personally. Apple cider, gingerbread, which I always forget about gingerbread every time I do this. Potatoes, roasted potatoes, ham. It's also acceptable. Yeah. Those are what pop into mind. So hopefully that helps answer that question. Do you prefer Xmas or New Year's, and why? I mean, I do like New Year's. I mean, I'm not much of a partier anymore, so like the whole party New Year's thing is kind of meh on me now at this point in my life. But I do like the whole thought of like starting a year anew and things of that nature. So I do like New Year's, but definitely Christmas. Way to go. Love it all the time. Happiness and joy. Scary ghost stories. All that fun stuff. That's definitely a lot more up my alley. Giving gifts and receiving gifts and so forth. Definitely more my speed. And then last but not least, real or fake Xmas tree? If I had it my way and we were able to, we would have an artificial tree. But I'll tell you why. I would love to have a real Christmas tree because we had a lot of real trees when I was a kid. And as much as they're a huge pain in the ass because, they shed everywhere and stuff like that, I am actually allergic to pine. So if I'm even around that tree, I start to break out in a rash, which is hilarious and kind of annoying because it like developed when I was a kid, So anytime I was around the Christmas tree, Christmas morning, I would, start to get itchy. I wasn't close enough to it all the time that it was an issue. It kind of would come and go sometimes, which is kind of annoying. But now as an adult, if I'm around pine and I like touch pine trees a lot and stuff, like, oh man, I get super rashy and itchy. And it's a huge pain in the ass. So for that reason, I don't like having real Christmas trees, but I like the ambiance of a real Christmas tree and the smell of it and everything. It just feels like Christmas to me. So that's my personal preference on that. But I would love to hear your guys' answers to some of these questions as well. Hit me up and let me know. Thank you so very much, everybody, for the questions for this edition of Ask Hodder Anything, the Christmas edition here on the Hodder Show, as we get ready to wrap it up here in 2023. I want to thank you guys so much for all the support this year. It means the absolute world to me. Before we go, I, of course, want to give a shout out to all of my Patreon supporters, my Hodheads. We, of course, have Ronan Kamori from Baseline Feed. Wolf Delta Pi from Baseline Feed, also known as Mo and Tanner. Eric Phones, actor extraordinaire. Mike Quintero from Shutter Radio. CM Peters from Baseline Feed. Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts. Kelly Sisson. Terry and Janet Hodder. Brandon Bowden from Bowden Voice. Neil Skrupa from Neurotic Voice. From Necrotic Voice, excuse me. Not Neurotic Voice. I always make that mistake. I don't know why. And last but not least, Mr. Ian Hall. Thank all of you so very much for the support. It means the world to me. 2023 has been a wild year for the podcast. Hopefully 2024, I can get back to some semblance of normalcy for weekly content for the Hodder Show. We're wrapping up on the 300s for the Hodder Show, as well as I will be hitting episode 400 next year, no matter what, for sure. So I got something cool in the works for that. You'll hear about it next week or the week after on the end of the year special with my man Josh from Still Loading Podcast. So stay tuned for that. Until then, I will catch you guys next time right here on the Hodder Show. Take it easy, guys. And if I don't talk to you, Merry Christmas.